Know that in quantum physics, all matter in the universe is actually not composed of particles, but waves or energy. This means that matter doesn't have a tangible physical existence. And all matter appears as particles only when we observe it. In other words, matter exists because we see it. If we don't observe it, it doesn't exist. It may sound strange, but that's the reality according to the facts of quantum physics. It's not a fairy tale, it's scientific research, it's real. From this, we can draw an analogy and a lesson that what we feel and experience is due to our perception or how we accept it as an object that enters our minds through our eyes. From there, we can make it an analogy and a metaphor that what we feel and experience is because we perceive it or accept it as an object that enters our mind through our eyes. The same goes for all kinds of emotions and colors of life. If we always perceive them as pleasures and blessings, then they are pleasures and blessings. Conversely, if we perceive them as painful problems and calamities, they become painful problems and calamities. So, the only way to attain continuous happiness and pleasure without any difficulty or suffering is by manipulating our hearts and minds. It means programming our hearts and brains to acknowledge that whatever colors of life that displease our hearts and whatever calamities that befall us are actually very enjoyable and blissful. That's how we manipulate our hearts and minds. So that whatever comes our way, our hearts consider it happiness and pleasure. Because in reality, those feelings reside in our hearts, and we can choose how we want to feel. For example, when a thorn pierces our foot on the road, it causes great pain. But we can still choose how to react. We can even choose to react with laughter and happiness as someone who experiences the beauty of true love. However, that is difficult to do, although, by God's will, it's possible and may seem like crazy behavior to others. But it's a very feasible and possible attitude to choose. We do this based on being grateful for whatever happens because in essence, everything that happens is by God's will and surely has its wisdom. Everything that happens is good for us, in which there is a reward in the form of blessings, and there are lessons in the form of patience and gratitude. If that's the case, then it means the thorn that pierced the foot is something very delightful that makes us extremely happy to the point of laughing. Yes, that's called choice. That's called manipulating the heart and mind. Why must we do this and why is there no other choice? Because your heart is too precious and valuable. It must not be subjected to even the tiniest thing that causes pain. Your heart is extremely precious, surpassing all wealth and the entire material world. Why? Because happiness and tranquility of the heart are far too valuable and cannot be bought with riches. Now, what if the heart is not yet capable of such a perception? If it's not possible yet, then stay away from anything that makes you sad and disappointed, and erase all memories of it from your mind and heart. How can we do that? By God's will. It's possible. Nothing is impossible for God. Isn't the brain's function similar to a computer? It can receive data and form circuits in the brain like folds in a computer. Just as data can be deleted from computer memory, certain data and memories in the brain can also be erased. Why should we do that? As I mentioned earlier, it's because the heart and human brain are the most precious treasures after faith and Islam. These two must be safeguarded, even through extreme measures if necessary, because nothing is more valuable than them after faith. We can use this analogy to understand that much of what we feel and experience in life is actually influenced by perception and how we accept various experiences. Most of what we experience as comfort, pleasure, or suffering is the result of how we perceive and give meaning to those events. Our minds have the power to shape how we respond and interpret every situation. For example, two people can face the same situation, but they have different reactions based on their perspectives. The first person may see it as an opportunity to learn and grow, while the second person may perceive it as a worrying challenge. In many ways, we have control over how we respond to various situations. If we can manipulate our perceptions wisely, we can create deeper happiness and tranquility in our lives. Of course, this doesn't mean that we should ignore problems or hide negative emotions. However, by viewing various experiences from a more positive and meaningful perspective, we can reduce their negative impact on our well-being. Approaching life with an optimistic and grateful attitude also helps us see all the beauty in life, even if sometimes it is hidden behind challenges or difficulties. It is important to remember that manipulating the heart and mind is not an effort to cover up reality or ignore problems that need to be addressed. Instead, it is about bringing a more balanced perspective and recognizing the positive aspects in every situation. Furthermore, when we experience unavoidable difficulties and suffering, we can also allow ourselves to honestly feel those emotions. Acknowledging those feelings is the first step toward overcoming and paving the way for healing. We are all in the midst of a winding journey of life, and there may be many things we cannot control. However, what we can control is how we respond to and embrace every moment in life. By applying wise manipulation of the heart and mind, we can attain happiness and sustainable tranquility. Understanding that reality and our perceptions are interconnected, we can shape this life into a story full of meaning and eternal happiness.